I guess I don't need my glasses. Your Honor and fellow Hall of Famers, something I never thought I'd be able to say. What a proud night. Thank you, everyone. And although, that's my grandson, he's going to be a Rough Rider someday. Although anyone who knows me would tell you I am far from a humble person, I can honestly say that today I am extremely humbled by this wonderful honor of being inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. It is something that dreams are made of, to be included with former great legendary players like the greatest of them all in our league, Doug Flutie, the best running back along with George Reed, Mike Pringle, 14-year great offensive lineman John Bonk, and who wouldn't want to be along with the wonderful Pinball Clemens, who is not only one of the greats, but is undoubtedly the league's #1 goodwill ambassador. To me, it's also amazing to be included in the Hall of Fame. There's 200 and something in there, with 23 former Saskatchewan greats, and some of them true friends of mine, such as a very good friend, Ron Lancaster. I go back with Ronnie to 1966 when we won our first Grey Cup. And you know, I was down here. He emailed me on Thursday and said he couldn't make it to the golf tournament and I should call him. And I was calling him at 9 o'clock on the day of our golf tournament, and his son-in-law called me to tell us we'd lost one of the true legends of and icons, particularly of our province. But what amazed me in the news over that night, because I watched everything, the national news, every paper, all about Ronnie, the little general. And he came up to Canada in 1960 and was part of the CFL for 48 straight years. And I can only ever remember one other person in Canada that was treated with the same type of situation like an icon when he passed away, and that was Maurice the Rocket Richard and Ronnie Lancaster, two greats. Other great friends of mine that are in the Hall of Fame was George Reed, Hugh Campbell, Bill Baker, Roger Aldag, Ray Algard, Bill Clark, Ted Ernest, and my old high school coach, Gord Curry, and Cal Murphy, who finished his coaching career with us and liked Regina so much, he lives there to this day, and every Friday we get together and argue. And a funny thing happened about a month ago. We both ended up in the hospital for a week, and they put us in the same room. And the best thing about it, Cal learned a lot about football at that time. The only problem we had was two people were talking, nobody was listening. To be selected from the thousands of other rider volunteers who have worked tirelessly to keep the club going in the tough years is something I will never forget. In this regard, I accept this award on behalf of all the volunteers of our club, both past and future, for without their contributions there would not be a Rough Rider team today that is doing quite well, both financially and on the field. But we certainly have had our ups and downs. The efforts of these volunteers have been the reason for the almost 100, next year will be our 100th year, of continuous years of rider survival. And they did it by maintaining the rider operations and organization since 1910. I can assure you that there were many times in the past that the club could have easily failed if it wasn't for the outstanding contributions of our volunteers. I am especially proud to say, because of these efforts, the Riders and the Eskimos were the only teams in the league that never were forced to receive financial bailout help from the league. and other member clubs, a record we in Saskatchewan are very proud of. Although riders are currently in an era of success and profitability, thanks to the efforts of our chair, Rob Pletch, and his board, President Jim Hobson, and General Manager Eric Tillman, volunteers still do a lot of the work on the fundraising side of the club, while their operations are being very professionally run by the aforementioned trio and their staffs. What makes this weekend even more special to me is because it is in the presence of my lovely wife of 44 years, Joan, our children, Deborah and Paul, and Cheryl and Gary, and the one you heard about. He went to watch the Rider game. It started 5 minutes ago. And also here is my wonderful grandson, the 22-month-year-old Peyton, named after Peyton Manning, Thomas, after who you know who, Coleman. I might add that almost 2 years ago, that in Peyton's first year of his life, this is hard to believe, but it's fact, both Eric Tillman and Bob Keeney of the wonderful Montreal Canadiens signed him to contracts to play with the Riders and Canadiens when he turns 18. They both think he will be able to play in both leagues, the same as another Hall of Famer, Jerry James, did in the 1960s. And of course, Grandpa would be at every game. I'm also honored to have with me tonight some very close personal friends that traveled a long way and whose presence here tonight means a lot to me. And also out there, particularly at the Blue Bomber table, are my friends from other league executives, like the former presidents of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. These league people have become lifelong friends whom I would never have had the chance to meet if it wasn't for my involvement with the Riders and the CFL. In regards to this reward, I must say, in all honesty, that I have somewhat of a guilty feeling in accepting it. I say guilty because there is nothing I have ever done for the Riders or the CFL that I haven't done for my own 100% personal fun and enjoyment. It's driven my wife crazy, but I have had a ball. In 1951, when Glenn Dobbs led the Riders to the Grey Cup, I and virtually everyone else in the province got hooked on the Riders, and today, some 57 years later, I remain nothing more than a bonkers, fanatical fan of both the Riders and the CFL. There's hundreds of thousands out there who similarly love the Riders and the CFL. The Riders are an institution and an icon for all Saskatchewan, no matter where they live. Once a Rider fan, always a Rider fan. And even if they're not your number one team, they're probably your number two team. The Riders help share our Saskatchewan identity of being the underdog up against the big dogs in other CFL cities. The Riders, like our province, symbolize that old children's book talking about the little engine that could. That the Riders have survived for 99 years is a testament of the people of our province, and I am proud to be one of them. I have been most fortunate to have been continuously involved as a direct volunteer with the Riders for over 42 years, starting in 1966, when I first joined the annual Rider Fundraising Dinner Committee, which now honors our Rider players and builders of the past. Our dinner and introduction ceremony last year had over 1,400 patrons who paid $300 a plate to attend and produced a net bottom line profit for our club of approximately $250,000. Today, I still remain active with the dinner committee and the Friends of the Riders Touchdown Lottery, and God willing, will continue to be involved for many years to come because, as I said before, I do it for one reason only, my own 100% enjoyment. I was also most fortunate to be the club's 1989 Grey Cup champion president, and to think that I am only one of 3 Rider presidents that have had this honor in 100 years. No one can ever truly understand what a tremendous feeling it was to represent our province in '89 in Toronto at the very best Grey Cup ever, and to win the Grey Cup that day, 43-40 over Hamilton. I honestly believe that under our current great leadership of Chair Rob Pletch, President Jim Hobson, and General Manager Eric Tillman, our riders are poised to win many more Grey Cups in the not-too-distant future. So beware of the big green machine and its rider priders. So basically, I'm nothing more than a fanatical fan that has had the great opportunity to work on the business and fundraising side of the rider operations and at the league level. I am only one of many similar others who have and continue to do the same. I'm just the lucky one that has been honored today. Although I have hopefully done some good for the riders in the CFL, I'm sure there would be, both the riders and the CFL, would both tell you that my fanatical actions and passions and outspokenness have often driven many to wonder if I'm truly an asset or a liability. Hopefully the balance of good somewhat rises above the concerns I have caused. I think I'm the only one probably in the world, or in Canada anyway, I'm probably the only one in the history of the CFL that has been severely admonished and taken to task by 3 different CFL commissioners. Even Angelo probably didn't get 3 on his case. And they were all for my actions, especially against the officials when it appeared to me they hurt the riders. The funny thing is that all 3 commissioners tried to fine me for my actions and comments against referees, but they quickly found out that they had no power to fine a volunteer. So I always escape with a very stern warning. Hopefully, Commissioner Mark, now that I have matured, my wife, family, and the riders and friends may take issue with that statement. You won't be the 4th commissioner to write me in the club about something I've done, but you'd be in good company if you did. But please, please, Mark, remind your officials I am still watching. In closing, I'd like to thank the Selection Committee, the Hall of Fame, Chairman Bill and Mark, and everyone involved with the Hall of Fame for this honor. You know, you couldn't have been treated better by anybody than we have been treated by my family and I in the last 4 days. And you know what I really liked? So much of it was done by volunteers, and it just reminded me of the Saskatchewan way. And great people here in Hamilton. You're going through some tough times with your football team, but after Ronnie retired, we went through 14 years of that. So don't give up on your team, because you got some great players for the future, and stick with them. When we were signing autographs last night, I couldn't get over the passionate Hamilton Tiger Cat fans that came up wearing their sweaters, the diehards. And you got a lot to build on here. So I want to thank you for coming. And I have to tell you about one last thing that's not even in my script, but it was a very funny thing. Last night, I was pumped up, obviously, and I had this dream. I had this dream that I was speaking in front of a group of people, and after I got down, some people came up to me and said they wanted to buy a ticket from me in our Friends of the Riders Touchdown Lottery. We got Angie's money. And just to say what happens, the lottery that I've run since 1986, this year we're giving away $1,426,300 in prizes. We're giving away 15 cars, 2 boats, a trailer, 44 trips all over the world, and pinball, especially for you. We have 15 trips to the Grey Cup because you're going to need it. Anyway, I think there was 2 or 3 major winners, and I'll be at my table with and the tickets are, you can buy for $75, $83, or $100. And you probably want the 75? Well, it's 4 tickets for 75, 3 for 75 each for 300, 3 for 250, or 1 for 100. You choose. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.